This is Game Spotlight, and this game is going to be an absolute skill fest. You can see that we have 4 mutators active on this mission. We have Heroes from the Storm, we have Power Overwhelming, we have Twister, and Alien Incubation. So these two, you can pretty much ignore them. They're not really much of a problem to deal with, but we have Heroes from the Storm, and we have Power Overwhelming, which is just going to be a very, very nasty set of mutators. I think this total set, is maybe 19 or 20 points, so this is going to be definitely a brutal +6 difficulty mutation, but it's going to be a complete skill fest because all of Amon's units are going to be skilling you, and then you also have the heroes that will be skilling you with even more deadly abilities. You can see that we have Ziemson and Ancalagon that will be going to try and deal with this mutation set, and these guys are pretty well known at least in Starcraft2Co-op.com's video sets because they do a lot of meme builds. I don't think there are going to be any meme builds here. They're just going to be trying hanging on for dear life because this is basically what they do. They just enjoy playing brutal +6 mutations, particularly the mutations that make me very, very salty. So, first set of crystals have spawned and have been promptly deposited into the environmental stabilizer. One of the things that makes Heroes from the Storm particularly deadly on this mission is due to the way the Heroes from the Storm mutator works. The heroes will not spawn in the airdrop attack waves. So if you remember the attack waves on this mission, the first one is a ground attack wave, but the second one is an airdrop that comes up from the side. So the heroes will not spawn with that airdrop, which means that when you have the ground drops, you're going to end up with a large number of heroes because caps out at I think 6 heroes per attack wave maximum. So you're usually going to end up dealing with 6 heroes at a time when you have the ground drop attack waves. So the mission difficulty kind of fluctuates between being really easy and really, really difficult. So we have Kerrigan, Crooked Sam, and Tychus already ready to go and deal with this attack wave, and Crooked Sam, I'm assuming, already has Demolition Charge upgrade, which he does, and which ends up stunning up Raynor, and Raynor will end up getting wiped out by Kerrigan. Raynor is one of the easier commanders to deal with at the start, one of the easier hero units, but this is not going to be before it gets very, very difficult very quickly in this mission, because Heroes from the Storm in general is just a difficult mutation to deal with. It's Kerrigan, Tychus, and Crooked Sam are going to be pushing in with this side, just dealing a little bit of damage, and you can see there's a small time warp here onto Tychus from some of these phoenixes. The other thing to also note is that these broodlings will also cast abilities. Kerrigan gets booped back by the Twister, and now she has Irradiate casted on her. But yeah, broodlings will also cast abilities on you, so it does make it very, very difficult to deal with if you're not really paying attention to where your army is and what your army is doing, because during the early stages of the game, yeah, you get Irradiate, you get random psionic orbs, and you get, just random abilities like this. But later on in the mission, you will get black holes and secret missiles and, random yoinks and stuff, and you can end up getting completely wiped by Amon's broodlings, which is kind of funny in itself. I have lost armies before to black hole secret missile combos. It's very easy to do. It's very it's just a complete randomness. It's the randomness of Power Overwhelming that makes it very, very difficult to deal with. Now, Power Overwhelming, one thing you can do to mitigate its effects is to constantly engage Amon's forces, because Power Overwhelming works from like an energy bar from an energy pool concept. So each player gets basically a certain amount of energy added every single minute, and the Power Overwhelming, and then when Amon sees that player's unit, it'll cast abilities up to and including that amount of energy. So as long as you're constantly engaging, you'll find that you don't normally get aggroed by very, very scary abilities. But if you do end up sitting in your base, like in this scenario here, where you're waiting for a while before you engage Amon's army, it does mean that eventually, when you start to engage them again, you will get hit by much, much more powerful abilities. You can see Kerrigan now already getting ready to start dealing with this next grass wave. Tychus and Crooked Sam are already moving towards this next set of crystals, as well as SCV is already moving in to try and pick this off. Kerrigan already jumps forward, which means that Tychus now will end up getting yoinked and stormed as well. So that was exactly what I was talking about. The yoink is kind of an expensive ability, but because Tychus had not engaged an Amon unit in a while, means that Amon's units were able to build up enough energy, and they will start using some more expensive abilities. And this includes abilities like Black Hole. Black Hole, very, very nasty. Kerrigan now already starting to move forward and dealing with this next side. We have Crooked Sam and Tychus with the medevac platform. There's a Seeker missile onto Crooked Sam, and I think Crooked Sam does end up getting picked up by a medevac airlift here, keeping him alive, but he ends up taking a little bit of damage from the Twister, which means that his healing is going to be stopped now because of the medevac rework. Hybrid Dominator not very happy with Kerrigan's presence on this map. We have a nice worm now. He gets dropped with a very nice demolition charge right on top of the Hybrid Dominator. The Hybrid Dominator will end up killing off the rest of these units. Where did Crooked Sam go? I don't know where Crooked Sam is. Is he inside a nice one? Not really sure. Can't see him. Okay, there we go. Tychus and Crooked Sam now are here to try and deal with some of the random harass here. So one of the other things that can happen also is, like, if Kerrigan uses her mobilization wave randomly, what can happen is that she'll end up killing off a random unit, somewhere where you're not even paying attention. And that means the broodlings that end up spawning will end up aggroing your base, so you need to have a little bit of some map awareness. We're putting down some static defense, and now we can see the next set of heroes that spawn. And you can see here, Dehaka, Karax, Tychus, and Nova, and there's already a nuke right on top of this area here, and you can see just how quickly these guys are able to cut through the enemy units here. So far, Kerrigan has actually gotten picked off as a result, I think, of that hero skirmish, and now Crooked Sam and Tychus are a little bit paranoid as to what to do, but just not a moment too soon. A lava surge is going to be coming up, which means Amon's army is going to be given a move command to move towards the high ground. Even though they don't take damage anymore from the lava surges, they will be moving up towards the high ground, and that'll keep them alive for just a little bit until Kerrigan ends up respawning. So Kerrigan should be out by then, and we now have Sirius added to the mix as well. This is going to be a little bit difficult to deal with because Nova is pretty nasty. So we have Kerrigan now. All these heroes are going to be moving in, and we will see how they're going to engage this. This attack is going to end up slaying. Tychus jumps into the Odin, and I think he's probably going to end up dropping a nuke right on top of Nova. This attack wave is moving right over here, and yeah, there is a big nuke here, and this should pretty much wipe out a good chunk of these enemy units. Now all that's left is just try and pick off that Nova as well, and there down goes Nova. And I think, yeah, there's a black hole now, and this is exactly what I was talking about. The black holes can deal so much damage. They get really annoying after some time, but for overall, this attack wave has been handled reasonably well, and Kerrigan will be now moving back to try and engage whatever is left here. There are a few point defense drones here, and by the way, these point defense drones will also cast abilities, I believe. They can cast abilities, so it can get a little bit annoying if you're just wondering what ends up skilling you. It's just basically that. Kerrigan jumping in right into the middle of this, and she'll end up wiping out some of the enemy forces, but not before they get double black hole over here, which you can see is a little bit annoying for these commanders. But again, once the black hole does end up getting used, that is actually really good for them. And now Kerrigan has jumped into the nice one, but now there's another ground attack wave coming up, and these commanders will have to try and deal with the ground attack wave. But there appears to be a lava surge here, which means this ground attack wave is going to be moving up onto this set of the high ground. And now there is Zagara accompanying these enemy forces. And yeah, that is going to be somewhat problematic because Zagara has used her roach drop right now, and she will start casting or at least casting some more of her abilities onto these hero commanders as well. There's another Baneling Barrage trying to hit Kerrigan. Does end up hitting Kerrigan's hatchery instead. Now Zagara is going to end up picking off one of the nice worms and one of the hatcheries here, and that other hatchery also ends up going down. You just see the damage out, but their pushing power is so strong. Crooked Sam, Sirius, and now Zeratul jumps into the way, ends up using swipey move onto Sirius. Sirius ends up going down, and Zeratul ends up getting picked off by the commander's Kerrigan. And I think overall units lost, we have one Sirius and one Tychus ending up getting killed off. I do not know when Tychus ended up going down, but now we have Crooked Sam and Kerrigan taking a lot of damage from these enemy forces. But now there is another ground attack wave that is coming up, which means again these commanders are going to have to deal with this. Kerrigan is adding a few Ultralisks to the front line to try and help her deal with a little bit of the tanking that she needs. But again, Kerrigan's Ultralisks do end up getting black holed, and now this attack wave actually is not going to be moving up towards the expansion. It's going to be moving up towards the left-hand side, which gives these commanders actually a bit of a reprieve, gives them a little bit of time to be able to gather their forces being able to deal with it. Just look at all these abilities, just random like barriers and stuff getting cast, disruption webs, all sorts of random stuff just being cast onto these commanders. And you can see now there are a bunch of carriers here that are harassing some of these bases, but these commanders have to go and they have to try and deal with some of this attack wave that's moving up towards the main expansion here. And now we have Artanis and Kerrigan in this attack wave, and this is going to be a very, very difficult attack wave to deal with. Kerrigan is going to be casting her Apocalypse abilities as well, which may be a little bit dangerous, but see here that there's a demolition charge that ends up stun locking Kerrigan. Kerrigan does end up getting off her Apocalypse ability and does end up killing off one of the outlaws, I believe. I believe Crooked Sam ended up going down. I think Crooked Sam ended up getting picked off. Artanis being one of the tankiest commanders in this game because he has an ability that allows him to respawn, and that makes him significantly more annoying. And this carrier has basically done so much work. It's going to end up picking off the expansion for Tychus as well. Artanis getting stun locked here by Crooked Sam because I believe Kerrigan is not here. And now she has just jumped in to try and just help these commanders deal with it. Just see how tanky he is. He just does not go down. He has something like 4,000 vitality and he respawns, which is very, very annoying. We have some secret missiles onto this Ultralisk, but again, the job of these Ultralisks is just to be able to tank for Kerrigan, just stall these attack waves, while these commanders end up dealing with these heroes, because these heroes are really, really annoying to deal with. And now we have some more random psionic orbs. Tychus with a very nice medevac pickup ends up lifting up, and unfortunately that SCV did end up getting killed off by that psionic orb and dropping the crystal, which ends up getting burned by the lava. And now it's just a small break that allows these commanders to get back up and running, because this has been an absolute slugfest. One Sirius, one Crooked Sam, one Tychus already down. Ling's not really much of a problem, but 4 hatcheries have been lost for Kerrigan. One Kerrigan hero lost, so it is definitely a slugfest. It's definitely a very difficult mutation set, so these commanders are handling it reasonably well. Tychus already at the level 1 attack upgrade. He is actually he's at the level 3 attack upgrades. I'm not really sure why this is split up, but just seems that is what it is. Kerrigan has already gotten the chitinous upgrade. Yeah, pretty much all the upgrades that these commanders need. They are not spending the resources on anything they do not need, especially now that they are working off a 2-base economy, or off a 1-base economy rather than a 2-base economy. They'll have to be very, very careful with how they spend the resources. They want to make sure that any resource they spend is necessary for them. And now we have another ground attack wave coming up, and we will see what the heroes are. There's definitely the Haka, there's a Kerrigan, there's a Karax, and there's a Raynor. Raynor probably the easiest one to deal with. Kerrigan, one of the deadliest ones to deal with, because the second she casts an Apocalypse, you are basically screwed. And we have a nuke right down here, pretty much wipes out all the weaker units here. Raynor gets basically completely wiped, and now Kerrigan gets focus fired down, and now finally Karax with his death of random photon cannon and Kaidaran Molotov. That also ends up getting wiped, but not before there is a black hole right onto the Ultralisks here. But again, if you get black hole, you know, especially towards the end of an attack where there's only one Broodling left, that's actually really good. It means that Amon has used up a lot of energy and not really gotten a lot of value out of it. So Kerrigan now will have to try and push into the side. There's another black hole here, and this is a Disruptor here. Disruptor dealing so much damage by trapping all of these units into the black hole as well. And lots of stuff coming down here. One of those Ultralisks already ended up going down. Tychus is in the main base. He's pretty much cleared out the enemy forces here. But I think Kerrigan is going to have a little bit of a hard time trying to deal with it, and these Ultralisks get completely wiped as a result. Some of these Ultralisks also getting their butts burnt a little bit, but I think they are doing okay so far. Yeah, so no more losses from Kerrigan here. I think one Ultralisk may have been killed off by that engage there, but now we have another ground attack wave that is coming up, and again, this is going to be very, very difficult to deal with. These ground attack waves are just completely packed with very, very powerful heroes, and these things, it's going to be a while before this attack wave will end up reaching the allied forces, but it is going to be something that they'll have to pay attention to. So I think they want to probably go and try and engage these Zealots first. Zealots get cleaned up very quickly by Kerrigan, and now they will have to try and deal with this attack wave. This attack wave has the air units, and now we have what? We have Zagara, we have Tychus, we have Zeratul, who happens to be cloaked somewhere here, I believe. And yeah, there is Zeratul just attacking everything over here. Lots of fungal growths right on top of these outlaws, and this is going to be a complete slugfest. Lots of skills going down. These carriers dealing so much damage. Time warps right on top of these Tychus Outlaws and a very nice medevac pickup here right at the edge here to try and keep these units alive. Kerrigan has gone down as a result here, and now Tychus is basically all by himself, trying to keep himself alive here. Rattlesnake ends up going down a little bit too late on the medevac pickup, unfortunately, and Tychus will have to retreat here with Kerrigan's Ultralisk. These enemy forces are going to end up aggroing the Omega Worm here, but Tychus wants to go in for round 2. He's helped by 2 Ultralisks here by Kerrigan. Kerrigan is still respawning. He'll have to try and deal with the rest of these things. There are a few Cyanoid Orbs that go down. There is instantly a Demolition Charge right on top of Zagara. That Demolition Charge is very important because that can end up stun-locking these heroes, and Zagara ends up going down, but there are a lot more units over here, and still, they need to get the damage output increased before they'll be able to clear out whatever's left here. Kerrigan jumps in, ends up deleting this one carrier here, a few more Seeker missiles right on top of Crooked Sam and one of these Ultralisks, and they're pretty much all okay. And now we have a black hole here, which ends up catching out pretty much all of Tychus. Luckily, no Seeker missiles onto these Outlaws, which can be a bit of a problem if they are... There's a random yoink there as well with some more point defense drones. Kerrigan, Tychus, they want to try and pick off these crystals before the timer runs out. It's going to be a little bit tricky because there are a lot of skills and there are a lot of Broodlings as well being caught out here. And this one drone is going to end up getting killed off by the Twister in that location. Now Tychus and Outlaws are finding themselves a little bit on the low ground, but these drones do end up surviving. They end up dying, but they end up dropping the crystals right on top of the high ground, which will end up keeping them alive for the first phase of this lava surge. I think overall seems to be okay, so far at least. The random Twisters just aggroing these guys. There is no attack wave over here, by the way, if anyone's wondering. This is just the point defense drones. They were dropped by the attack wave, so it becomes part of the attack wave, and it'll be a while before they end up disappearing. See, they have ended up disappearing right now, and time on the environmental stabilizer is getting a little bit low, and these commanders will have to try and push through. Unfortunately, again, they're trying to push into this area here. There's a Secret Missile Black Hole combo onto Kerrigan with a Reaver and a Tempest and a Photon Cannon, dealing a lot of damage to Kerrigan there. Kerrigan could not escape there. He ends up getting hit by some of the damage output there from these commanders, and now there is another attack wave that is making its way towards the central expansion. And again, this might be very, very problematic. Nikara, Sirius, Tychus pretty much have to get out and bail and try and deal with this next attack wave, which is being cloaked by the random Arbiter in this location. And again, they will have to be careful. There are heroes in this attack wave, but I think they are going to end up passing like 2 ships in the night. They want to try and pick up some of these crystals before the time runs out, because a lot of these crystals are on the low ground, which means that these crystals are going to end up burning if they do not pick them up. Now, it means that this attack wave is getting towards these commander's bases, and now they end up dropping right into the middle here. There's a Roach drop and a Baneling barrage, ends up picking off Crooked Sam, and now we have a mobilization wave, and now there's an Odin with a nuke here, pretty much wipes out all the enemy units here, but the enemy heroes are still standing strong here. There's a Zagara, there are 2 Zagaras here, and a Kerrigan and an Artanis. This is going to be a while before they end up killing that off, because Artanis is a very, very annoying here. You can kind of see here, he's going to end up respawning right now. There we go, pop! He goes respawn, pushes everyone back, and now pretty much all the rest of these heroes have been killed off, so now they're just going to try and focus down, right? Just see how tanky he is. Just look at that. And finally, he ends up getting killed off. Crooked Sam alive right now. Yeah, there have been a few losses here. Actually, Crooked Sam ended up surviving, I think that. And now they're going to jump back into this area and try and continue pushing their way through here. Lots of disruption webs being dropped to keep them from casting their abilities. And now we have another ground attack wave coming up for these heroes. What is the completion rate like? They're getting a little bit closer here. There's another couple more crystals deposited into the environmental stabilizer. And now this attack wave is going to come up and hit them like a freight train. What do we have here? I can see 1 Tychus, I can see Kerrigan, Carax, 2 Caraxes, 2 Tychuses, 2 Caraxes, Kerrigan, and something else here. And use Kerrigan's Apocalypse being very, very deadly, very scary ability to use. And I think these commanders are just going to retreat. They're like, nope, we are not going to deal with this at all. All we have to do is just stall this attack wave just a little bit to make sure that our drones can get back and deposit these things into the environmental stabilizer without getting wiped. And now this attack wave is going to be moving, I think, right onto the high ground here and aggroing these Ultralisks. And these Ultralisks are not going to last very long against Kerrigan's abilities as well. There are 2 Kerrigans here, which means there's going to be a double Apocalypse Call down. And I think those Ultralisks are going somewhere. And now these Outlaws are actually going to be stuck between the ramp here and this attack wave that will be moving up towards the Outlaws themselves. It might be a bit of a problem. And now there's another ground attack wave as well that's coming up. And now these commanders want to try and deal with it. There's an Apocalypse that comes down right on top of these Ultralisks, dealing so much damage. And now there is a black hole as well, and catching out pretty much everything that is here. Demolition charge right onto Amon's Kerrigan. But again, Amon's Kerrigan is really tanky. Lots of Kaidaran Lawless being dropped here by Karax just to deal so much damage to these allied forces. And that one, they're just trying to protect that. I think we have one drone before that one drone returns its last crystal, because yeah, they are actually at 17 out of 20, so they still need to drop a few more crystals here, but it's going to be a little bit tricky because there's one drone and they need 2 more to deposit the crystals in. And now this next attack wave is coming up, and again, this attack wave is a ground attack wave, which means that it is going to have some heroes accompanying them. Tyke is already in position here, and now what do we have? We have Zagara, Karax, Zeratul, Artanis, and Raynor. A reasonable mix, a little bit tanky, a little bit annoying, but it is manageable here. And these guys decide to just bail. They're like, nope, we are going to get ourselves out of there, and we want to try and pick up this last crystal. There are 2 crystals here. There are 2. No, there's only 1 crystal here, which means that Tychus will have to try and deal with this attack wave, because they are getting now pincer attacked here. Kerrigan is going to be jumping into the mix here, has to jump out of the way because that air composition is a little bit annoying for Kerrigan to deal with. And now we have this attack wave that basically has nothing to aggro, so it is just going to be moving towards the player's main base here. It seems to have de-aggroed and re-aggroed some of Sirius's start, so it'll end up picking that off. Kerrigan's a few Ultralisks are in this location. They will also end up getting killed off as well by Amon's forces. And now the Lava Surge is coming up, and these commanders are in a very bad position. Kerrigan's Ultralisks are right on the low ground here, and they are basically surrounded between lava and Amon's forces, because Amon's forces are going to start wiping out pretty much everything that is here. And there's a black hole that ends up catching out Tychus as well, and there's another roach drop here from Zagara. There is a huge slugfest here. Sirius does end up going down as well, and now Kerrigan's Ultralisks have been trapped, and they have to run right on top of this lava over here, and they will end up getting wiped. But that is the last crystal done, and that is GG.